back to Stories Over Tea. I'm Sarah, and today I will be doing my first review ever on this channel, and I will be reviewing Fangirl by Raibow Rowell. I literally just stopped reading this book. I literally just finished reading this book like 5 seconds ago, and I was just like, I just have to review it or then I'll forget everything, like all my thoughts. Anyway, I don't really know what to call this video because I know like Christine at Poland Bananas Books calls like her book reviews book talks, and I know everybody else calls them like book reviews or book rants, but this is not a book rant because I'm like not mad at anything about this book, but like I don't know whether I should call it a book talk because I'm not like, I'm reviewing, but I'm mainly like discussing, but maybe we'll just call it a review. Maybe we'll just be like everybody else. Or maybe we'll be like original and call it like a book journal or something. Or like a book diary, but I also feel like that's what you would call like a vlog. You know, if I was vlogging about reading a specific book, I would be like, this is a book diary. But caption I'm probably going to write like, Fangirl book talk / review / rant / diary / journal / whatever I'm supposed to call it, because I don't know what this video is supposed to be called. Anyway, this is not what you're here for, me ranting about what I should call this video. You're here to hear me talk about Fangirl. So basically in Fangirl we follow Kath, a freshman in college, and it's basically a coming of age story about her being this huge Simon Snow fan, which is kind of like Harry Potter, but like in Fangirl. And we follow her and she writes fan fiction called Carry On about Simon Snow, and she's like obsessed, and she's going through her college life. Her twin doesn't want to be her roommate, and she's like anxious about being alone, and she's having a hard time fitting in with everybody and making friends and having this whole new environment around her. And so yeah. Okay, so I think we'll start with a non-spoiler, like a spoiler-free part, and then we'll get into spoilery detail because there's no way I can talk about any book without spoiling like everything. Unless I want to give you like the basics, like it was good, not okay, blah. Anyway, so let's start. Overall, I'm pretty sure I would rate it like a 4 out of 5 stars. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do recommend it. I do recommend for people to read it. I think there's a lot of representation in here that I really loved. There's a lot of moments in here that I really loved. I mean, I had some issues, but like if you would put it on a scale of like issues versus loving, then it would be like, because I would love it so much. Anyway, so read Fangirl, which probably you have because like everybody's read Fangirl. Read Fangirl, come back to the spoiler section, and we can talk about it. And we can talk about spoilers, and we can pick this book apart. Okay, so off the bat we get introduced to the Simon Snow series, which throughout this book we see like the after every chapter we get like a little blurb about like Simon Snow, or we get like her fan fiction or like anything basically, but mainly it's like Simon Snow chapters. And like throughout this whole entire book I just kept thinking like, oh, that passage reminds me of Harry Potter. Oh, Simon Snow could literally be Harry Potter. And it's like, is Simon Snow Harry Potter in disguise? And the passage where they introduce like Penelope, and she's like, you don't do magic, you are magic. It just reminded me of like that part in the movie where she's like, it's not, where Hermione's like, it's not Wingardium Leviosa, it's Wingardium Leviosa. And I was like, Penelope and Hermione could literally be twins. Like, it's like, I know she probably didn't think about like Harry Potter, because I mean they do mention Harry Potter in this book, so I know Harry Potter exists in the world of Fangirl, but I don't know, it was just like Harry Potter throughout the whole entire thing, and it just bothered me, but it also didn't bother me. It was, yeah. Anyway, I definitely liked Kath's interpretation of Simon Snow better, because I liked how she changed things up, and I liked her take on fan fiction. I personally don't read fan fiction, But I loved how, like, she thought about, like, writing fan fiction. Like, even at one point in the book, I was like, maybe I should start writing fan fiction. Okay, let's talk specifically about, like, each and every character. So we have Kath and Ren, right? And I flipped out when they were just like, Kath or Ren. Our mom was too lazy to create two names. And I was like, it's just like, their mom is like, it's so, like, awful. I can see where her mom's coming from. Because, I mean, she, like, slept with a guy and then had a baby, so then they got married. And, like, she didn't want that, and so she left. But then she left for, like, another family. And then that time in, like, the hospital when she, like, left, and Kath was like, you have to stay. Like, she's like, it was like, just stay, make it up with your other daughter. Like, it's not that hard. But she just left, and she's like, it's not my place. I don't want to intrude. It was like, this is basically how I talk about books to my mom. I just go, I love their dad. I love their dad so much. It was kind of interesting how, like, Kath was mothering her own dad. Like, she was the parent to her dad, but then the dad was the parent. Like, they have this nice relationship bonding thing that I kind of really enjoyed reading about. And, like, Kath was always, like, worried about him, but he was always worried about Kath, and it was like, it was this relationship that I thought, like, was really, really nice. Let's talk about Ren. Okay, she got better throughout the book. Both Kath and Ren have this really nice, like, arc of character, and we're gonna talk about Kath's arc in a second. But Ren's, like, character arc was really, really beautiful because you see her, like, at the beginning wanting to, like, live the dream college life with, like, the drinking and the frats and like the independence thing, and then you go and then she's, like, drunk in the hospital, she could have died, and then her, like, and then she comes back and she's like, Kath, I want to be your roommate again, and she's like, I miss you, maybe I'm not cut out for this independence thing, and she kind of just really grows, and I kind of really liked that, because at first I was like, what kind of twin sister are you? But then throughout the book I saw more of them, and I saw more of Ren in a way that, like, Ren has her own problems, she just shows them differently, and her problems are less obvious, because, I mean, it's from Kath's point of view. So, like, Kath doesn't really think Ren has as many problems as she does, so you don't see Ren's problems until Ren starts to actually, like, visibly have problems. Now, let's talk about Kath's character arc. So Kath, she kind of has an arc. She has an arc in a romantic way. She also has an arc in a way that, like, her arc is, like, really subtly beautiful. That, like, throughout the book, we see her, like, slowly coming out of her shell, like, very little. She talks to her roommate, she gets a boyfriend, she talks about writing, she does this, and then it, like, slowly, like, builds up. You'll see some characters throughout series that, like, if you read about them in the last book and then the first book, it's completely different. Or, like, at the beginning of the book, at the end of the book, it's a completely different person. And it's like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But what I really liked about Kath was that she stayed the same person. She just became a better version of herself, which I thought was very nice. Let's talk about Levi and Reagan. I loved her roommate. I loved Kath's roommate. I just loved how witty she was, and I loved how, like, straight, blunt, forward to the point she was, and she wasn't like, she was like, Kath, you're so pathetic. And it's like, tell that to her straight. So, we have Levi, and you can kind of tell, like, right off the bat that, like, Levi has a thing for Kath. For Kath. So you can kind of tell off the bat that, like, Levi has a thing for Kath, and, like, but Kath is, like, completely oblivious to it, and she thinks, like, Levi is, like, Reagan's, like, boyfriend. And, like, you kind of see it, and you kind of don't. And it's like, is he Reagan's boyfriend, or is he not Reagan's boyfriend? Does Kath like him back, or does Kath like Nick? Ooh, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the whole Nick situation as well. Anyway, so does Kath like Levi or not at the beginning of the book? And it's like, she's like, I don't like him, but do I? But I don't like him, but do I? And then Levi comes out and he's just like, Kath, I like you. And Kath is just like, do I like him? Do I not? Do I like him? Do I not? And it's just like, girl, Levi is dyslexic. I have come down to that conclusion. And like, if you don't know, I'm dyslexic. And it was really interesting to read about him and the fact that he couldn't read and couldn't spell, because like I've been through that, but I'm not as old as Levi, and we have a different like there are different levels of dyslexia, and I got treated really young. Like I got treated like right out the bat of kindergarten. I started tutoring, but obviously he didn't, and I've met some dyslexic guys, people who have grown up and didn't start realizing it until college, that like they were dyslexic and they had troubles, and that's Levi. And what I was really interested to see was the author purposely trying to like represent like dyslexic people in her book, or did she just meet somebody on the street who couldn't read and decided to put it in her book? So I don't know how I feel about that, because we never outcastedly say that like Levi is dyslexic. And he might not be, but everything in the book, all the passages, all the symptoms, and everything he talks about is like dyslexia. To me, it was kind of like a half-hat representation, and it was like, I don't know how to feel about it, because I don't know if she was purposely trying to represent or if she was like not. And it just confused the heck out of me, and sometimes I wish it wasn't even there, but I also kind of wish it did, because it's the only like dyslexic representation I've seen anywhere. Let's talk about Nick. At first, when she was hanging out with both Nick and Levi, I thought there was going to be some like love triangle thing. And then Nick like stole her writing. And it was like, it was really weird reading that part, and he was just like, it's my story, and Kat was just like, uh-huh. And he was like, it's my story, and Kat was just like, okay, bye. And some part of me wished that like she fought harder to like no, you can't turn it in, like I helped you. Some part of me wishes she fought harder, but also another part of me like understands her. And then when he comes back again and he's just like, Kath, professor wants to put me in like the honor thingamabobber, and he's just like, but I need your name, will you put your name for me, please do it for me. And Kath is just like, obviously I'm not going to do it for you, guy who stole my story. Let's talk about the writing, shall we? I love the writing. The writing style blew me away because I didn't pay attention to it. You know how some writing styles you're reading and you're just like, wow. I mean, that line was like very mystical, and it kind of brought me out of the story. It didn't do that at all. Her writing is so natural, and I didn't realize it until like the end of the book, but it was so natural. And you know how Kath, when she's talking about like how she writes, she's like, I'm really good at writing dialogue. Well, Raibow Rowell is like the queen of dialogue. Every time I like read a dialogue, I get so excited because it's just like boom, 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 and it's so funny and it's so witty, and like the way you read it, you just have to like laugh. This book had a lot of parts where I was like outspokenly laughing or outspokenly smiling. Like I would be smiling because it's that cute. It's like really, really cute. It's a cute book. And I think it's a little too cute. And here's why. Hear me out. There's like about like 3 major fights in this book, and they're all like, they're not dramatic enough for me. Like when Reagan and Kath fight about like their, about Levi, but they don't fight. They just have like a disagreement. See, you can't call it a fight. And Reagan's just like, I'm gonna go take a shower and then I'll be over it. And then she was. But Kath is just sitting there sobbing. And she's sobbing like, I felt like it would make more sense if she was sobbing when like Reagan was like actually mad at her, and then they were having like an actual fight, and then at the very end when Kath was like obsessed about like finishing Carry On, and Levi like stormed out the door, and then Kath was crying, and then she opened the door and found Levi, and he's just like, I'm an idiot, and Kath is just like, uh-huh. I wanted Kath to have like a breakout moment where she bombed out all of her feelings, because like I love it when characters have that breakout moment. It's like all this inside you and then it just bursts out, but she never had that bursting out moment in a fight that I wanted her to have, and I thought would be really, really good. And I just kept reading on wanting that burst of like, ah! Something else that I really liked about her writing was how she revealed like little bits about the character's appearance like throughout the book. And it wasn't like a huge, long, half-long page about like how the character looks or like how the character acts. It was like throughout the book we find out new things about like what Levi looks like, what Kath looks like. Like we didn't learn about like the color of her eyes until like the very end. And it was like throughout the book, Kath would like notice different things, and we would like see her noticing it, and it wasn't told in first person. So she did it so beautifully, and it was just like you learn more and more and more and more and more, but it wasn't all at once. But it was like spread out in like such a beautiful way that it was like it took me a while to notice it, but when it came up, because I was reading this like really critically, because that's what I do when you annotate, right? And like I just kept reading it, and I was like, whoa, it's so good. Like it was amazing how she did it. And thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below, did you like Fangirl as much as I did? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. And I know you probably read it because everybody's read it except for me apparently. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. My Instagram is @SarahsBookshelf. Go check it out. I love Bookstagram so much. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.